Your Excellency, Distinguished Secretary General, Distinguished Dr. Besa Bedada, State Minister of the Ethiopian Ministry of Innovation and Technology, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, one and all, good afternoon and welcome to the grand occasion of the official launch of the Greater South Information System, GreSIS. I am Dr. Isabel Zog, Chief of Section, Knowledge Development and Democratization of the Department of Research, Evaluation, and Foresight of the Organization of Southern Cooperation. It is an honor to be here today as the Master of Ceremony in celebration of the launch of GreSIS in the midst of such honored guests. Before we proceed, I would like to express our gratitude to the notable dignitaries present here today. We extend our heartfelt acknowledgement to His Excellency Sheikh Mansour bin Musallam, our Secretary General of the OSC, our Undersecretary Generals present, distinguished ministers, ambassadors, university presidents and vice presidents, directors of research institutes, and all of our distinguished guests. Thank you all for gracing this occasion with your presence. We are gathered here in the stunning Ethiopian Science Museum to celebrate the launch of GreSIS, a flagship program of the OSC. We chose this beautiful venue for the launch due to its symbolic relevance as a place where knowledge is fostered and made freely available to all. As many of you are aware, the OSC was established on the 29th of January, 2020 by countries and organizations from across the Global South at the International Summit on Balanced and Inclusive Education, held in the Republic of Djibouti. As the first intergovernmental organization of and by the Greater South, the OSC acts as an instrument of intellectual, technical, and financial cooperation and solidarity between its member states as well as its associate members in the pursuit of a third way of development from the South for humanity. In light of this pursuit, GreSIS was mandated by OSC General Assembly Resolution 8 in 2021 as a means to improve access to higher education and transdisciplinary knowledge through the development of an open and accessible hub of academic and endogenous knowledge from the Greater South. GreSIS caters to the needs of educational institutions, researchers, instructors, students, practitioners, Indigenous people and community organizations, government ministries, and civil society organizations across the member states and associate members of the OSC. In short, GreSIS allows users to look up knowledge and link up with other knowledge producers across the Global South. In its beta stage currently, GreSIS will be exclusively available free of charge to institutions in member states and associate members. During our GreSIS launch program today, you will learn about how GreSIS will democratize access to and the production of knowledge across the Global South. With no further ado, I would like to introduce you to our distinguished lineup of speakers, starting with our own Secretary General, His Excellency Sheikh Mansour bin Musallam. Next, we will enjoy remarks from our special guest, Dr. Besa Bedada, State Minister of the Ethiopian Ministry of Innovation and Technology. Next, we look forward to brief remarks from two esteemed guests, Professor Afewerk Kasu, Director General of the Armawar Hansen Research Institute, who will reflect upon GreSIS from the perspective of universities and research institutes. Next, we will hear from Dr. Getahun Makuria, who is the former Ethiopian Minister of Education, Minister of Innovation and Technology, and Minister of Science and Technology, and who is currently an advisor to one of OSC's esteemed associate members, the XRPL Foundation. We look forward to his remarks from the perspective of an associate member. Following these remarks, Professor Hirut Woldemariam, OSC Undersecretary General of Research, Evaluation, and Foresight, will grace us with her insights regarding the why of GreSIS and its relationship to the geopolitics of knowledge. Next, Dr. Shumate Gazau, OSC Undersecretary General of Technological Innovation and Digitalization Enhancement, will enlighten us regarding GreSIS development to its current beta stage and how GreSIS serves the process of knowledge democratization. Next will be an interactive demo and platform showcase by GreSIS lead developer, Emmanuel Zodu. Finally, the moment we've all been waiting for will be the official launch and unveiling of GreSIS by His Excellency, our Secretary General, Sheikh Mansour bin Musallam. I speak on behalf of myself and my OSC colleagues who have been working diligently on GreSIS for some time now to say that it's been a labor of love for all of us. And today, as we launch GreSIS into the world, it is truly an honor and privilege to do so in the presence of yourselves, our esteemed guests, within this venerable institution. May the GreSIS launch ignite the flame of knowledge, collaboration, and innovation among us and across the Global South. Thank you, and let the GreSIS official launch commence. Please let us put our hands together as we welcome His Excellency, Secretary General Sheikh Mansour bin Musallam, to give his opening remarks.
Your Excellency, State Minister of Innovation and Technology of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, distinguished high officials of our host country, Your Excellencies, ambassadors, most esteemed guests and representatives of universities, research centers, ladies and gentlemen. My objective today is to be concise in my remarks, in the acknowledgement that there are always times for expounding upon ideas, ideals, projects, and plans. There's always time, of course, to project ourselves into the future, into the tomorrow that is yet to come. Yet today, on this 13th of February, as we prepare to launch the Greater South Information System, GreSIS, we also recognize that over the past year, since the establishment of the OSCE's headquarters in Addis Ababa, we have collectively engaged in exchanges, discussions, consensus building around the ideas, the principles, and the plans that guide our actions. And yet, today, actions probably, delivery probably, speak much louder, much more eloquently than any words that I could express. And in this regard, as I seek to be concise, some of you, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, are very much aware of the reputation that I have gained for myself as an interminable speaker. Yet, nevertheless, as I strive to disprove this reputation, allow me perhaps a few moments to expound upon the rationale of the Greater South Information System. And the reason as well, not only for this launch, but for my determination to be here present with all of you for this moment. As you may be aware, some of you may be aware, I have only arrived this morning from the Republic of Cuba, where we engaged in a number of discussions directed as well towards the fulfillment of our collective vision. Yet it was important for me to be here, even though after this visit I will have to go back to the other side of the Atlantic for further engagements. Because the Greater South Information System, ladies and gentlemen, is perhaps one of the most important projects of the Organization of Southern Cooperation. A flagship project that finds its rationale in the recognition from the South, from our countries of Latin America and the Caribbean, Africa, the Arab world, and Asia Pacific, that we must reinforce our transdisciplinary research capacities. You will recall, ladies and gentlemen, that during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, when humanity faced an existential threat, when it was in all of our interests to achieve herd immunity across countries, when the risk transcended the national borders, that our countries of the South found themselves in a situation in which they were unable to access equitably vaccines against COVID-19. Not because we were expecting somehow charity, not at all. Many of our countries were ready to purchase vaccines, and as the 13th of February precedes by a day the commencement of the works of the African Union Summit, we must recognize, and you give credit to the African Union that sought to create mechanisms for purchasing vaccines for its member states. Yet our countries were unable to do so, to purchase vaccines, because some had monopolized production. And yet eventually, when we did receive vaccines, putting aside the ones that were close to their expiry dates, we mostly received, you will recall, ladies and gentlemen, the mRNA versions of those vaccines. Vaccines that, in tropical climates, had to be kept at minus 70 degrees Celsius. Once again, in countries that mostly had tropical climates, already struggled with their energy supply grid, that already struggled with an urban-rural divide. So when we did receive vaccines, ladies and gentlemen, they were decontextualized from our realities, and therefore unpractical for us in the delivery of the necessary care to prevent and mitigate the epidemic. And therefore, clearly, there is a need, a necessity, for our countries to reinforce our research capacities. But there is no reinforcing research capacities in our countries if we do not address some fundamental challenges which consist of the challenge of access. Until today, it remains true that for many of our countries, many of our universities, many of our students, many of our research centers, access to the latest in transdisciplinary knowledge remains out of reach. whether because of the cost associated with access to the peer-reviewed journals, or what I call often the geographic condemnation, where certain publications care little of certain regions of the world. And therefore the issue of access must be addressed if we are to reinforce our research capacities. But also, in democratizing access to knowledge, we must do so with an understanding that we must also democratize its production. And it is a truth that most of you will already know far better than myself, that research done in our countries, research that is contextual to our needs, remains undervisible at the international stage, not visible enough, for a variety of reasons, of course, amongst which the fact that most peer-reviewed journals are found to be of international reach, are found to be in the north, of the fact, of course, of the language barrier. I have recently, as you're all aware, come from Cuba, where I have met some extraordinary scientists and researchers who publish in Spanish, not in English, and therefore limits the reach of their research and publications. And therefore GreSIS, as a platform, seeks to address these two major challenges. The first, providing a platform containing comprehensive resources in terms of journals, articles, publications, endogenous knowledge repositories from across our countries of the global south, and provide to our member states, their universities, their research centers, their students and faculty with free of charge institutional access to that platform. But recognizing, again, that the South is characterized always by diversity, by harnessing, and of course, my Undersecretary General for Technological Innovation and Digitalization Enhancement will be able to expound upon this, but by harnessing what, in short, we could refer to as artificial intelligence, GreSIS also provides a mechanism for instantaneous translation, at a minimum in our 4 official languages, of articles, journals published on GreSIS with an accuracy of 90 to 95%. Not because we are somehow engaging in the belief that translators are no longer relevant. Not at all. The human dimension of translation will always remain crucial. But by harnessing artificial intelligence and providing those translations of a 90 to 95% accuracy, we are overcoming together the initial barrier of language when it comes to collaboration and engagement between researchers from our countries that are very diverse in their realities, but share some systemic challenges, making collaborative research crucial. And having said this, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I should like to emphasize that with the launch of GreSIS in its beta version, that is, you will see a platform that still has some way to go in terms of user interface, of functionalities, aspects, of course, that we will welcome feedback from users in these initial stages to have a continuous process of betterment of the platform. But in the launch of GreSIS today, in this beta version, We do so with a fundamental understanding, for those of you that had attended the OSCE Institute launch, that 2024 for the Organization of Southern Cooperation is the year of delivery, requiring us to understand what Antonio Machado said so concisely and beautifully, which is, caminante, no hay camino, se hace camino al andar. Al andar se hace camino, al volver la vista atrás, se ve la senda que nunca se ha de volver a pisar. Wanderer, walker, there is no road. The road is made by walking. By walking, the road is made, and looking back, you see the pathways upon which you will never set foot again. And our determination here at the OSCE, at this particular launch, in this beautiful venue that also exemplifies a determination to continuously move forward, a determination to see our countries as drivers rather than remain mere passengers of the development discourse. It is our conviction that with your proactive participation as users of GreSIS, but also the partnerships that will be crucial, as my Undersecretary General for Research Evaluation Foresight will expound upon, the partnerships that will be crucial to ensure that GreSIS is a vibrant, ever-growing platform. And for this, your role, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, will be essential. And from the OSCE, we look forward to that engagement with every single one of you, with your institutions, with your universities and centers, in order to achieve what is long overdue, which is the encounter in our countries of all sources of knowledge that we may all bear the fruit of this seed that we are planting together today. I had promised to be concise, ladies and gentlemen. I have failed, but I conclude.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Next, it's my pleasure to invite Dr. Bayisa Badada, State Minister of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, Ministry of Innovation and Technology.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Excellency Mansour bin Musalam, the Secretary General, Organization of Southern Cooperation, heads of states, representative officials of member states, and associate members, invited guests, all protocols observed, ladies and gentlemen. I stand here with immense honor and the pleasure to make an opening remark on the day of remarkable achievement by OSCE, where we witness our organization walks its talks. Congratulations. The different initiatives and the flagships projects by the Organization of Southern Cooperation for member states and associate members in areas of balanced and inclusive education, transdisciplinary research, and the production, indigenous technology development, as well as strategic and economic transformation will strengthen the national initiative. The OSCE Training Institute, launched last month at the headquarters of OSCE, is one of the practical measures. Excellency Secretary General, ladies and gentlemen, the Greater Southern Information System is an open and accessible transdisciplinary knowledge platform designed to meet the requirements of both institutions and individuals across the Greater South. We can take this as one of the milestones that marks the narration of Global South as not a mere receiver of innovative approach and the knowledge, but rather a contributor to a body of knowledge at large. This shows that the capacities and the capabilities of our organizations, OSCE, have a huge potential that lives in millions of the needy in the Global Southern. Where we prove it today at this infant stage. Dear Secretary General, Ethiopia, as a host nation and a member state of OSCE, implemented a national homegrown economic reform agenda that explicitly stated the move to an inclusive digital economy can unlock significant growth and the productivity gains for the country. To capitalize the potential, however, different initiatives need to come together as a cohesive and a coordinated whole. While this requires investment and the development of the IT sector in particular, we recognize the IT sector's position as a cross-cutting enabler of all industries. Thus, the National Digital Strategy aims to contribute to the goal by creating an integrated umbrella strategy for leveraging digital pathway for inclusive prosperity and the green industrialization as the digital technologies help to create a more sustainable future for all. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, I have a strong conviction that the South to South integration and the cooperation will contribute to creating a more enabling environment for promoting efficient cooperation with maximum impact. By notably building trust and understanding among the partners in planning and the management of cooperation programs, as well as making strategic policy decisions with regard to strengthening the cooperation. I'm also quite confident that member states have respective political commitment for joint efforts and the collaboration to address priority areas as immediate engagement, such as collaborative capacity building, science, technology and innovation, green economy, and environment. To achieve meaningful impact by design, member states need to focus on learning, monitoring, scale up, and empowering peoples, communities, and institutions. Dear Excellency, thanks to mutual interest shown by OSCE and the Ministry of Innovation and Technology, under the leadership of His Excellency, the Secretary General of OSCE, Mansour bin Musalam, and His Excellency, the Minister of Mint, Dr. Ballate Mullah. A team of experts to work on identifying critical areas of cooperation by two parties. And an MOU is finalized. I'm sure we will sign the MOU the soonest as possible and start our project WISE engagement. Excellency, I would like to extend the request from my ministry to support the national digital transformation initiatives. in unleashing the potentials of inclusive prosperity in Ethiopia, where we can also share the lessons learned and the success stories to the member states. The Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, Ministry of Innovation and Technology, is committed to partner with OSCE and the member states on our mutual interest. Lastly, may I take this opportunity once again to congratulate His Excellency, the Secretary General, and the whole team of OSCE for the successful development and the launching of a key platform for member states and associate members. I thank you, Your Excellency, for the invitation, and all the participants for your kind attentions. Thank you.
Thank you for your remarks. Next, I would like to invite Professor Afewerk Kasu to the stage.
Your Excellency, Dr. Addis Ababa, State Minister of Ministry of Innovation and Technology of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, Your Excellency Sheikh Mansour bin Masalam, Secretary General of the Organization of Southern Cooperation, respected Undersecretary Generals present here, respected members of this highly esteemed organization, my brother, former Minister, Dr. Engineer Getaun Mokria, my brother, President of the Ethiopian Academy of Sciences, Dr. Belay Kasa, my colleagues, representatives of different institutions from Ethiopia, from Africa, and other parts of the world represented here. A very warm welcome to this beautiful place, our Science Museum. And I would like to congratulate all of us for this very great launching ceremony which has brought us together. And good afternoon to you all again. My remarks, as given to me by my colleagues, is to connect this very big mission, this very big organization, and the subject which collected us all together today to research institutions and academic institutions in the Greater South. As said, my name is Afewerk. For my colleagues outside Ethiopia, you can easily remember me as After Work, because researchers and academicians, they used to stay after the usual working hours. Currently, I lead a research institution which is only 54 years young, being invited, representing this institution, and also from my previous capacities in different institutions in Ethiopia would excellently resonate to the objective why we are here. My remarks are 5. I would like to connect my remarks to the 5 key objectives of the Greater South Information System, GreSIS. First, access to knowledge. Your Excellencies, dear participants, access to knowledge means a lot to us in academic and research institutions. To align with what His Excellency, the Secretary General said, I want us all to remember the pandemic we endured, we suffered. And I want us to connect to that time, especially those of us in academic institutions, in the research institutions during those black days, weeks, and months. Had we have established institutional repositories in our institutions before the pandemic, most of the challenges we faced during the pandemics could not have happened. We suffered a lot in my country because we are not ready. The large number of universities we had by then lacked institutional repositories for knowledge. The institutions generate knowledge, but those knowledge were not captured properly and not organized at national level. I'm very glad today in front of me I have my sister, Professor, who is the Undersecretary General serving this big organization. Under her leadership, we tried to establish national academic digital repository for Ethiopia. I'm not sure if that is now functional now. So we need those kind of infrastructures at an institutional level, at the research institutions, at universities, to pass challenging times, learning from our past bad engagements. On the second objective, making higher education institutions more accessible. One of the challenges we faced by then was lack of digital content. Dear participants, we need digital content. This GreSIS and what it has in it are going to give us that leeway, that pathway to have digital content in our higher education system and research system in the greater South. On the third, the need to collect and preserve indigenous and endogenous knowledge and making that accessible. I want all of us to go back to our birthplaces in the greater South and connect to traditional medicinal plants, which up until now we have been using, up until now our parents and families are using. We need those knowledge to be collected, gathered, organized, preserved, connected, and shared. For example, in Ethiopia, we use flowers of a plant called Haginia absinica, called koso, because we eat raw beef in Ethiopia. From the raw beef, we get a parasite called Taenia saginata. That plant is still used in Ethiopia, ladies and gentlemen. That knowledge has to be connected to the greater South. From that information, we want our scientists to come and pick the active ingredient and develop products to be used globally. On the fourth objective, making research from global South more visible, again to align with what His Excellency was mentioning, we publish from our higher education institutions research, from research emanating from our research institutions. But once we published, to get access to those publications requires us to pay. That's the irony. We publish, but getting access to our publications is costly for us. So we need to work together, come together, get information, and make our publications visible. Very recently, our team published in Nature Medicine. But that publication, when it needs to be accessed by our colleagues from other institutions, it needs money to pay. We need information generated from the South, again to align with His Excellency's ideas on vaccines, on diagnostics, on therapeutics. When you see the greater South, the knowledge is there, the ideas are there, the resources are there, but because our information emanating from our side of the world is not well connected to the other side of the world, we are not contributing much the way we wanted our ideas, our information, our knowledge. That will have a big impact on the vaccines being developed, on the diagnostics being developed, on the therapeutics being developed. So that the objective, the fourth objective also resonates perfectly with what we are trying to achieve. The final one, on developing new ways of collaboration, new ways of cooperation. In Africa, a couple of years ago, we started the African Centers of Excellence. Those kinds of initiatives are critically important. In my 54 years young institute, we are collaborating with 22 different African countries on tuberculosis research. We need to extend what we have to the others, learn from others in a special way of collaboration and cooperation that will take us to the future. To do that in an effective way, GreSIS is the key. The resources we have in GreSIS would leapfrog us to the next level very quick. My call to all of us here is, as indicated in their brochure, to look up to the resources, to the networks, and to link up with the intellectuals, the individuals, the scientists we have in the Greater South, so that together we can achieve something for humanity. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Professor Afewerk. Next, it's my pleasure to invite Dr. Getahun Mukuriya to the stage.
Excellency State Minister Dr. Baisa Dada, State Minister for Innovation and Technology, Your Excellency Secretary General Sheikh Mansour, Excellency Under-Secretary Generals, Excellency Ambassadors, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. Let me first congratulate Your Excellency Secretary General and the whole OSCE team for the achievement you have made in this 1 year from nowhere to everywhere. I can see how OSCE has grown under your leadership. I personally remember just a year and a couple of months back, OSCE had no more than 3, 4, 5 staffs. Probably some of you who were around know OSCE got its headquarters very recently. And in the blink of an eye in front of us all, we have now a fully functional, actually not only a fully functional, but a very dynamic and very active intergovernmental organization. So Your Excellency Sheikh Mansour and the whole Under-Secretary Generals and the whole OSCE staffs, congratulations for the work well done so far. And having OSCE in Ethiopia, for me personally, and also as a former minister, it has been a blessing, it has been an honor to have OSCE in Ethiopia, in Addis, not only as Addis being the diplomatic hub of Africa, but also having OSCE itself has a transcending ripple effect for every one of us around, for our ministries, for our universities, for our research institutes, in the wider sense for all of us Ethiopians, having an addition, in addition to African Union, UN, ECA, and the third international multinational institute organization here in Ethiopia is a very huge blessing for us Ethiopians. So we are very happy, we are very lucky for being a host country to OSCE, and I want to express my happiness and my gratitude, Your Excellency Secretary General, for deciding to come to Ethiopia as the headquarters, as the secretariat of OSCE. I represent an Estonian-based foundation called XRP Ledger Foundation. I currently serve as an African advisor, and XRP Ledger Foundation is a blockchain, decentralized blockchain technology foundation, a non-for-profit foundation meant and working to disseminate blockchain technology. And our technology is very much being used over the last many years in the financial industry, in the financial sector. So the main objective, the main mandate of my foundation, XRP Ledger Foundation, is the promotion of blockchain technology and also catching up with ever-growing blockchain technology, especially in the financial industry. And my foundation, XRP Ledger Foundation, is proud being an associate member to OSCE. And I also want to thank the leadership, His Excellency Secretary General and the whole leadership of OSCE for allowing XRP Ledger Foundation to be an associate member of this great organization of ours. So, the perspectives that I want to put forward now is, in the general sense, may represent the associate members, but in particular, my foundation, XRP Ledger Foundation. So, GreSIS, we have been with a team of TIDE under Secretary General Dr. Shumete. We have been in contact for many months and weeks now. And we know and we can say that GreSIS is really a very nice product, a very good product. Of course, it's like a product that can grow, that can be matured like any one of us. When we are born, we are not matured enough, we are not big enough, and we are not yet being where we should be. So GreSIS, I see it as a very intelligent baby, but capable of growing with the care and with the nurturing of all of us, all member states and all associate member states. So from the XRP Ledger Foundation, we leave no stone unturned to cooperate, to collaborate, to support the cause and the causes of OSCE in general and of GreSIS in particular, to make sure that GreSIS will serve the greater southern global south in becoming the best it could be or it can be in the future. So especially, I'm just putting forward our commitment. So we are committed as our duties and responsibilities of being an associate member. We are here to support the causes and calls of GreSIS and of OSCE to make sure that no technology will be left without supporting the GreSIS platform. Probably for the university presidents, vice presidents, leaders around. So I think it's all of us who should be contributing to the growth, the maturity of GreSIS here in Ethiopia, in the global south, everywhere. So it's a contribution of us all member states, all associate member states, all universities, all research institutes, as His Excellency Professor Afwork just mentioned. There are indigenous and endogenous knowledge everywhere. So the more we feed that nutritious food into the GreSIS, the more data being fed into GreSIS, and the bigger it becomes, and the fastest or the faster it matures. So all of us have the responsibility to make it mature, to make it grow, and also we are the ones who would finally benefit from a matured GreSIS. So as XRP Ledger Foundation, we are here to put our commitment forward, to say that we always support the calls and the causes of GreSIS in particular, but of OSCE in general. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Getahun. It's my pleasure now to introduce Professor Hirut Wildemariam, OSC Undersecretary General of Research Evaluation and Foresight.
Your Excellency, the Secretary General of the OSCE, Organization of Southern Cooperation, Sheikh Mansour bin Salim, Honorable State Minister of Science, Technology, Innovation of the Federal Republic of Ethiopia, distinguished guests, colleagues, and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. As a newcomer to OSCE, it is indeed a great pleasure and double honor for me to stand before you to say a few words on the why of GreSIS at this great event in the inauguration of GreSIS, a remarkable milestone in the journey of the organization. Personally, I feel privileged to be part of this wonderful effort, committed for the creation of knowledge, dissemination of knowledge, and democratization of knowledge. But first of all, please join me in congratulating the visionary founding Secretary General, His Excellency Sheikh Mansour bin Salim, who conceived and then achieved under his strategic leadership the establishment of GreSIS, a major step forward, I can say, toward this knowledge democratization through global cooperation. Please also allow me to express my appreciation to my dear colleague and brother, Dr. Shumate, and his team for launching this important digital platform for the Global South. Of course, the next step for us would be to upload the necessary and all relevant contents, millions of them, from the South to the South. Scientific research outputs, the rich indigenous and endogenous knowledge bases that the South has accumulated over generations will be hosted in GreSIS to be accessed by higher education institutions, individual scientists, policymakers, and even entrepreneurs from the South. Ladies and gentlemen, the best relevant knowledge from the Global South is available in the Global South, but not yet well accessed and not used or utilized for the sustainable and inclusive development that the region desires. That's why GreSIS aims to do justice to the insights, perspectives, theories, principles, values, knowledge sources, and experiences of the Global South that have been, I can say it, silenced and kept muted to be utilized so far. Through the GreSIS platform, by democratizing access to knowledge, we can facilitate the free and open collective exchange of ideas, research outputs, and various sources of knowledge from academic and non-academic sectors to be shared among member states and associate member states of the Global South. And I believe that the journey we have just embarked will play a major role in creating just, equitable, and prosperous social transformation in the Global South, with the principle of collaboration, inclusivity, and innovation always at play. Ladies and gentlemen, the Global South needs a solid knowledge base to navigate its way to sustainable and inclusive development. From ancient civilizations to modern societies, Knowledge has been a driving force behind all progresses, innovations, and power dynamics in the humanities. Moreover, it's becoming increasingly clear that access to knowledge is not just a matter of intellectual enrichment, but rather a fundamental prerequisite for sustainable development and inclusive growth. Yet, as we all know, the distribution of knowledge in our world is not equitable, as there is a clear and large inequality that often reflects the geopolitical divides of our world. The asymmetrical distribution of knowledge not only perpetuates existing power imbalance, but also hinders the collective progress of humanity. Moreover, the definition of knowledge itself that ignores the rich indigenous and endogenous knowledge of the South has put the region at a disadvantage and prevented it from drawing on its vast wealth of knowledge. Until we change this unbalanced knowledge landscape, the sustainable and inclusive development we seek will not become a reality. That's why it's essential to recognize and address the challenge of the Global South in terms of access, production, and utilization of knowledge. And that's why GreSIS aims to revolutionize the way we in the Global South access knowledge, how we share it, and how we gain it, and how we utilize it for our development. Ladies and gentlemen, GreSIS plays a key role as a hub of academic and endogenous knowledge, catering to the needs of educational institutions, researchers, instructors, students, and even indigenous peoples' organizations across the South. GreSIS is more than just a platform. It is rather a catalyst for collective development and social transformation. By highlighting marginalized voices, diverse sources of knowledge, and different perspectives, the repository will enable Southern institutions to make meaningful contribution to global knowledge production and dissemination of indigenous and endogenous works. GreSIS will therefore serve as a beacon of hope for a more just and interconnected world by advancing scholarly research, promoting cultural exchange, and even advocating for social change. Ladies and gentlemen, as we embark on this transformative journey with GreSIS, there is a need for all member states and associate members of the OCC to embrace and actively participate in this groundbreaking platform. Whether you represent an academic institution or a research center or a ministry or even a civil society organization, your participation is crucial to realize the full potential of GreSIS as a catalyst for change. Finally, I would like to call on all scholars and publishers in the Global South to work with us to advance the democratization of knowledge and create a better and more sustainable future for generations to come, where access to knowledge will be guaranteed for all. In closing, once again, I would like to express my feelings that I am filled with a high degree of optimism and hope as we embark on this transformative journey with GreSIS. I would like to express once again my highest appreciation and gratitude to the Secretary General, and of course the RIF and TIDE teams, and all members of OSC who have worked tirelessly over the past year to make today's launch and official unveiling of GreSIS a reality. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Hirut. Next, it's my pleasure to invite Dr. Shumate Gazau to the stage. He is the Undersecretary General of the Thai Department.
Your Excellency, Sheikh Mansour bin Musallam, Secretary General of the organization of this young and emerging Southern Cooperation, Your Excellency, State Minister of Innovation and Technology for the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, Dr. Baisa Bedada, University Presidents, Excellency Ambassadors, heads of institutions, my former colleagues, former ministers, state ministers, invited guests, and our key partner represented by Mr. Lou Saged, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, ladies and gentlemen, and all protocols observed. Everything has its own time, and everything is beautiful in its own time. And here we have gathered today to announce the release of GreSIS, as previously said by our Secretary General and previous speakers, one of the flagship transformative projects in the OSCE. I'm privileged and honored to lead the development of GreSIS under the extraordinary leadership of our Secretary General and with the Department of Reef and other USGs. And I tell you, GreSIS is a collective effort as a result of joining hands and minds. And I would like to say congratulations to all of you. I would like to take you to some details of GreSIS. And of course, most of the content is and the ideas and the significance of GreSIS have already explained, but I would like to take you what really GreSIS somehow in detail and how GreSIS is ideated, developed, and born. So GreSIS is a revolutionary digital collaborative hub developed from open sources and open technology to democratize access to and production and reproduction of knowledge in the global South. GreSIS is a free of charge and accessible transdisciplinary knowledge platform catering the needs of individuals and institutions and communities in the greater South. GreSIS, as earlier said about it, allows its users to look up knowledge and link up with other knowledge producers and knowledge owners and knowledge reproducers. The very purpose of GreSIS is
to challenge the paths of the past when it comes to our seat and our place in sharing, producing, acknowledging, and using knowledge is concerned. It is about availing knowledge, particularly our own knowledge that we have accumulated from our ancestors, from our traditions, from our histories in the global South for free. We believe in OSC that there is knowledge and wisdom in the global South that can easily, actually, and potentially solve the problems that the current world is facing. If we properly acknowledge, document, and make them accessible, there is another, as our Secretary General always say, there is another third way of knowledge production and knowledge repository and knowledge sources. It's about using our own capabilities and talents to take ourselves in the global South from the passengers list to the driver's seat to play our part and our role in the challenges and opportunities of the fourth industrial revolution. This is a time to rethink, to align and realign our seats and our position in sharing, producing, and using resources, and particularly knowledge resources, is concerned. Ladies and gentlemen, Excellency, GreSIS is about solidarity. It's a key and actor for solidarity. These kinds of access to knowledge needs not charity but solidarity. It's a platform for solidarity and fraternity through sharing, because sharing is caring, through collaboration and strengthening solidarity again and again. GreSIS is connector of individuals, researchers, communities in our global South, connector of individuals, communities, and institutions across countries, across continents in the global South. And the key objectives are already said, and particularly Professor Afwerk and also our previous speakers have said about the key objectives in another way, but I need to focus on the third objective. This is the time to think about how to collect, preserve, and make indigenous and endogenous knowledge of the global South accessible. In the beginning, I said it is time to rethink about acknowledging knowledge. We believe that the knowledge that we have for millennia accumulated in the global South are not properly recognized, and they are not accessible to the rest of the world. And so GreSIS is here and developed, and the futures are properly framed to harvest, to look for, and collect and preserve, and make visible the indigenous and endogenous knowledge that we have in the global South. The rest, other objectives are already indicated in the brochure in our website. Ladies and gentlemen, you can access from that platform. So what are the resources in GreSIS? Shared resources, repositories, knowledge platform, and so on. So academic and peer-reviewed publications, non-academic publications. The knowledge that we recognize in OICC is not the knowledge that is published only in Springer or in Elsevier and other publishing organizations and institutions. There is knowledge, rich knowledge sources that must be acknowledged, recorded, deposited, and make accessible. Indigenous and endogenous knowledge, opinion, pieces from Southern thought and leaders. We have thought leaders, we have idea leaders, we have community leaders, rich in resources, rich in wisdom, and rich in knowledge. And so the resources are more or less these ones, and as our Secretary General earlier indicated, this is a beta version, and it is maturity and growth in the future, in the near future. Maybe after a couple of months, you need to come and see how GreSIS is fast growing. Who is GreSIS for? As already said, scholarly and academic institutions, universities, academies of sciences, student unions, researchers, scholars, educators, students, indigenous people and community organizations, civil society organizations, and practitioners. And again, government ministers and government organizations, research institutes needs to take the lead in using, sharing, and contributing to GreSIS. So, having said this much about GreSIS, how GreSIS is ideated, developed, and born. It's very important to raise these important standard questions when we think about developing a certain platform, certain software. And OIC has strict rules and principles to keep the global standards when it comes to developing GreSIS and also other platforms yet to come. How was it developed? The methodology, the processes, the procedures, and the steps, the phases that we have followed. Who developed it? We're not only considering the skilled people. Skill is one thing, but the ethical standards that must be taken into consideration to develop such kind of platforms are very important. Where is it stored? How it is protected? And not only the development, not only the protection, how can we sustainably use it? It's very important, the continuity and sustainability of the use of certain platforms is very important. And so we consider all these questions, and all these questions, I assure you, are answered. Development process of GreSIS. GreSIS followed a standard software development process to ensure the best possible outcome and delivery. GreSIS in this case follows 5 major milestones starting from initiation phase to deployment phase. Initiation phase starts from conceptualization. How do we define the project? In the conceptualization phase, we determine where we are driving to. It's very important that if you don't know where we are driving, the speed is not important. And that is why the conceptualization part is the foundation of GreSIS. The significance, why we are building GreSIS, and how we develop GreSIS, and what are the deliverables of GreSIS, the different features and modules and other components in GreSIS. So we, again, in the planning phase, followed at least 5 procedures, and we take into consideration these five components: the scope, the milestones, and the allocation of resources, the tasks, the timelines, and the interdependencies of different tasks are considered in the planning phase. It's very important in such kinds of platforms. Planning is key. And unable to plan is planning to fail. The risks and the mitigation strategies, and finally, the interconnectedness, the sharing, and the engagement with partners and stakeholders are taken into consideration. In general, in less than a year time, we managed to ideate, develop, and deliver GreSIS. Design phase is very important. There are 3 important components in design phase. The first one is the architectural design. What are the things in the front end, and what are the things that must be considered at the back end? The flows, the procedures, which should come first and which should follow. So the architectural part was taken properly into consideration, and the system design, as already said by our Secretary General, GreSIS will be scaled up. And so in the system design, we have considered the scalability, the efficiency, and the optimization of GreSIS even in the future. And then the next one is the UI. Most of us, when we use websites or such kind of platforms, we first encounter with the UIs, the user interface, and we manage to make the user interface more user-friendly. The translation. Why I brought the translation in the design phase, in the design activity, is that one of the peculiar features of GreSIS is translation. The AI, the artificial intelligence features that are embedded in GreSIS make it capable to translate, to automatically harvest, to automatically translate both the metadata and the files of articles that are harvested in any corners of the world. And it is capable to publish it automatically. We have tens of thousands of repositories, and my colleague, the lead developer on behalf of the team, will be showing us the demo just immediately after my presentation. And so you will see how GreSIS is able to automatically translate the articles that are harvested. So any article, for example, available in Spanish is also available in English. Any article available in Arabic is also available in Spanish, and vice versa. So the development phase, as I already explained, we follow an appropriate global standard development process. We applied an agile development methodology, iterative process, and we apply extreme programming because GreSIS is great. And equally important is the testing. Many people and our partners and colleagues were concerned about the testing processes and procedures. And starting from, just like any other project, starting from entry to exit, we managed to test, to apply the unit test, the systems test, and the integration test. And the deployment phase is already ongoing. The installation, the configuration, and other components are already done. And then the next step is deploying and then user training and support structure to our member states and associate members will follow. What are the major achievements so far? There are two major achievements. The first one, two groups of major achievements. The first one is content-wise, resource collections are made. What kind of resources? Academic and non-academic resources. The types of collections: repository of indigenous knowledge, transdisciplinary research, voices from the global south. Another achievement is we already granted access to institutions in our member states and associate members. And again, we have active users of GreSIS at this stage. And the major achievement is when it comes to modules and from the development of the platform is the standard functions, automatic upload, content moderation, robust search function, translation features, repository core, the digital object identifier, institutional access, and audio-visual integration, and as I already explained to you, beautiful, user-friendly user interface. Why? All these processes and journeys for GreSIS. What are we expecting from GreSIS? This is my final and concluding slide, Excellency and ladies and gentlemen. We need to see the bridging academic and non-academic knowledge domains, transdisciplinarity, accessibility, inclusivity, collaboration, and one of the mandates among the 4 mandates, pillars of OSCE is development of indigenous knowledge. In the development of indigenous knowledge, we always strive to see, at the end of the day, at the end of the development of all platforms and flagship projects in the OSCE, we would like to see bridging the techno-digital scientific divide that is already perpetuating in the global south. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any inquiries, contributions, and comments and suggestions, please don't hesitate to reach us through GreSIS email. Thank you very much. And please allow me to invite the brilliant developer, lead developer, on behalf of his team, to come and show us shortly the demos of GreSIS. Of GreSIS, how articles are stored, how you can browse, how you can download, how you can save, and how you can share in any ways you like. So, Emmanuel, the floor is yours now. So you have only a couple of minutes to show.
Your Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Before I jump into the platform, I want to take this moment to thank my GreSIS team first for the diligent work that they've done, as well as they've not worked in silo. I want to thank the Reef Department and all of Tide Department, as well as all of OSC staff for this great milestone that we have achieved today. So thank you very much. Okay, so I'll walk you through the platform. Before you get into GreSIS, the key feature we have first, as mentioned by Dr. Shumate, was the institutional access. So an institutional access allows you to onboard the institution first. The institution will have its own admin, and they themselves can invite the students, faculties, and everyone that's affiliated through that institutional access, so they can gain the free access to GreSIS. So once they do so, they can follow the link, follow the process, and they will get access to this platform, and they will land on this landing page. So before I move into the landing page, I wanted to explain a bit further about the user interface that Dr. Shumate has mentioned. So the nodes that you see are not science experiments. They are there to represent nodes of knowledge, and the links between are meant to show you the links between knowledge domains. So moving down from the welcome, you'll see the About GreSIS section. In this section, it briefly tells you about what GreSIS is about, why GreSIS is started. And moving down, we'll see Join GreSIS. So this is just the core features. So Dr. Shumate has explained a lot of features, but this is the main core functions. Then the objectives like transdisciplinarity, accessibility, inclusivity, as well as collaboration. Once we finish that section, we'll come to the collection section. On the front page, we have the featured collections where OSC has curated specific knowledge repositories, like a repository of endogenous knowledge. And finally, we have the stumble function where a person can randomly find knowledge that they were not searching for. It's basically designed to mimic the experience where you go to a library. So let's jump into back to the 3 sections so we can go into the search and explore. So once we go into that, we'll find the search engine of GreSIS. As of today, we have 20,000 or 20,000 more than 20,000 resources. On the left side, or on the right corner, you'll see how you can sort the results to your need. On the left side, you have the filters, the advanced filters, where you can just simply click. And you can also have searches for, since we have more than 6,000 languages and all the countries, instead of clicking, you can search and refine your search results. So once you have your search results, you can save the results for your later utilization. You can see whether they're open or not, and all of those things you can see. So let's go into one of the resources and see some of the features. So we have the title, the description, and the key translation that we have. So Dr. Shumate has explained very well of the translation. So these, or this document has been harvested automatically. So this is originally a Spanish document, and as it comes into GreSIS, it has been translated to Arabic, French, and English. So that, as Dr. Shumate, as well as Your Excellency has explained, it has 90 to 95% accuracy. So moving to the next section, we have the preview section, where if it's a PDF, you can see and preview that. You can do it in full screen. You can browse the original document. You can also print. You can also download from here, as well as there are buttons down there, so you don't have to open the PDF to do that. The next feature is, so just still showing you the documents. So another key feature is the translate. So we have seen the metadata being translated, but this time we're translating the document itself on demand. So we hit the translate. For example, this, as I said, is a Spanish one. We translate it to English, and you'll see it download. And you can see the one that has downloaded. As you can see, the format has been kept, and it's basically like looking at an original English one. So this, as I said, is on demand. So once a person translates, it doesn't translate again. if a person hits English again, it will simply download instead of translating. All right, so on the right side, you'll see different features, like you can export it to your own library or a JSON for your machine or your other repositories. You can copy the citation, you can choose whatever format you want. You can also see the rights, whether to see the licenses, you have the details, the keywords, as well as the analytics, who has, or how many views or downloads your record has, or this record specifically has. All right, now we can look into the stumble function. So it's a very simple function. You have 3 options. You can choose a publication, audio, video, or a full stumble. So a publication will choose anything that's related to a PDF or a document. The audiovisual one will choose a random audio or video record. So this one, as you can see, is the PDF. You would be landing on the same thing. You will also have that same function at the top for you to conveniently keep repeating until you find something that you like. All right, perfect. So now we can show you the preview for the video as well. We've seen a lot of documents, but when it comes to videos, you can also view them just like the PDF version, but here you can see it before downloading it. You can check if this is something that interests you, and then you can proceed to downloading. Then now we have seen other records. Now we can see how we contribute ourselves. So this is the dashboard. So you can see if you have uploads, this is where you'll see them. Then if you have collections that you've joined or created, you'll see them here. These are requests that you, let's say you upload something and it goes through review process, this is where you'll find them. And finally, you have the saved section where you saved all your works for you to download, see, and whatever. All right, so let's jump into the repository of endogenous knowledge to show you what a specific collection will look like. So you can jump into the records. First, you have the about section, then the records will show you, for example, this has 112 records currently. So just like the ones that you've seen, you can search, you can find the resource that you like within that repository and go into preview, see the documents, download, translate, whatever you want to do, they can do on this page as well. All right, so now we've seen a collection. Now you can also create your own collection. So for example, I want to create an endogenous technology collection. I will also give it an identifier. I can make it public or restrict it to some people, and then I can create the collection. The next one is, how do I upload, which is personally upload, not to a collection or create a collection, but upload my work or someone else's work. So here we have a document to upload. We simply upload the document and then put in all the metadata related to that document. So we can choose if it's indigenous knowledge, whether it's from the global south, choose the country. For example, for this case, it's Brazil. Choose the language the resource or the record is from. This particular one is in English. Then we have below one of the key features, which is the digital object identifier. So this is a published work, so it already has a DOI. We can simply copy and paste that, but if it's not published, you can choose no, and it will create a DOI for you. Then you can choose what type of resource it is, add the title. As you can see, since this is already published, it's simply copying and pasting your work. Then you have the publication date. So the publication date needs to be in a certain format. So on this one, it will probably say like March 17, 2009. But when you input that, it has to be machine readable. So you have the formats stated below. So you have to write it with that format. Then you add the author. If it's you, you can add yourself. If it's another person's work, you can add those as well. If you have co-created this work, you can save and add another one. You can also add the affiliations, the roles. There are a bunch of things. This is for a person, for example. You can also have a work done by an organization, which you can also input here. Then we have the description part, where we can use it to paste the abstract, which means as soon as we do so and publish, anything within the abstract is fully text searchable, so anyone can find this using the keywords in there. Next, to refine more or for it to be able to be discovered, you can add the subjects. For example, this one is transdisciplinarity, we can add that, and education, or you can add as many as you want to make sure your record is found. The other one is version control. It's good to put the version of your work. And of course, if you have a publisher, it's also mandatory to actually put in your publisher. All right, so once we do that, the other ones are not required, but there are a lot of features that we have added to add identifiers, references, and a lot of things that you can add to your record to refine and make it more make it have more metadata. So once that's done, you can publish. So just to inform you, when you publish, it means that this is not a reviewed work, which means it hasn't gone through the review process, which means it's probably uploaded by a faculty member. So if a student publishes, it's probably going to be a different way. It goes through the review process. As you can see, we have the terms and conditions before we publish, and we can hit publish. All right, so once we hit publish, we can view our work, just like we did on the landing page. So if there's anything, then we can go back to editing something, if there's any mistake or not. Next one is if you have another version of this, you can do so. And finally, you can also share this work to other people using this button. Right, so now we've seen how to upload. I want to show you just a brief way of what a review process might look like. For example, if one person has submitted this and another person is supposed to be reviewing it, this is the kind of interface you would see. You have the option to comment on the work. As I explained, it's not really a reviewed journal, but it does give the person that's reviewing way to give feedback to the person. If this is done, they can either accept or decline. They can also review the work without leaving this page. So they will find exactly what they will be finding on the record landing page. Perfect. So now, if everything is okay, they can accept or decline. At this point, we have accepted the work. Next, I want to show you the translation. So we've seen translation of documents and metadata, but this is translation of the UI itself. So this is available in 4 of OSC's languages, which is Spanish, Arabic, English, and French. So you can simply just change, and everything in the website will change to that language, and you can browse thoroughly without a problem. Perfect. Last but not least, we have the Contact Us section. This is meant for anyone, especially at this beta version, it's critical to get your feedback. So anyone, even right now, if you want to submit your comments or anything, you can use the email, as well as the easier way of doing that would be to use the Contact Us form. And that's basically the walkthrough. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Emmanuel. So it's my pleasure now to invite Your Excellency, Secretary General, to come and announce the official launch of the GreSIS platform. It's my understanding that there's an animation that has been prepared to also celebrate this milestone in this unique moment. So if you would mind coming to the stage.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, worry not, mine is a very succinct intervention before the formal launch of GreSIS. It is to acknowledge the very hard work that the OSCE teams have put into developing this platform over less than a year. In particular, of course, the Department of Technological Innovation and Digitalization Enhancement, TIDE, who have suffered at my hands with all the changes that I kept requiring. The Department of Research, Evaluation and Foresight, who have been instrumental in designing the content sourcing strategy. Also acknowledging our associate members, who have been instrumental in ensuring that with the launch of GreSIS, we would launch a crucially operational platform, even if in its beta version. I think a particular mention ought to be made of UDWALC, the Union of Latin American Universities and of the Caribbean, that have recently signed an agreement with the OSCE to ensure that the digital repositories following the launch of their 200 universities would be uploaded to GreSIS. And of course, to all of you ladies and gentlemen, for having accompanied us and supported us in this process. With this gratitude and without further ado, it is my particular honor and pleasure to announce the formal launch in its beta version of the Greater South Information System.